Welcome to my fall morning routine. This is a two-part video including both my wild Mustangs I've been training as well as my other personal horses. My Mustang Libby greets me every morning. Libby started doing this just a few days after arriving here in Vermont, and it's always a really sweet welcome. I start my chores by first rinsing and then filling the Mustang buckets. I have to rinse to get any leaves or any debris that's kind of fallen into the buckets overnight. While the water's running, I head over to my car to go grab a bag of alfalfa pellets. And then I hurry back over to the water so I can switch the hose from one bucket into the other. And then I head over back to where I keep my grain. And this is the tricky part because, as you can see, I've got 4 little dwarf goats, and whenever I'm handling food, it's always a fun little challenge to try to get everything done before they get into it. And then I rush over back to the water to go turn the hose off. And I'm usually just in time. After filling their waters, it's time to feed the Mustangs. I feed them alfalfa pellets several times throughout the day. The goats make these chores so difficult. And they like to pick up anything that I drop on the ground. They will clean right up. I head back over to the hose so I can go and soak the alfalfa pellets. Then I bring the pellets over to my car, and I'm going to store them in here for a few minutes while they soak, just so they're out of reach of the goats. And then I've also got hay in my car. Right now I need to take a load, get a load of hay over to this property, but in the meantime I've been bringing hay bales back and forth in my car, so that's where these bales are right now. And then I spread the hay around the round pen in a bunch of different piles so that they can be sure to each have some hay, although they often end up sharing the same flake. And then I have to grab my dump cart, and unfortunately we are plagued with so much mud. It makes it really challenging. This section right here we did not get gravel for, and we'll definitely have to get more gravel pretty soon because it's really hard to move this cart around in. While the Mustangs are munching on their breakfast, I start mucking out once I finish muscling the cart into the space. And then I start mucking. As you can see, the goats help themselves to the horses' breakfast. Before the Mustangs arrived, we had a load of sand delivered to this round pen space. And that's made it really easy to muck. It's almost like cleaning a large litter box. Over here is where we ran out of sand, and the difference in the time it takes to muck is drastic. Once you experience a nice surface to muck on, it's just really hard to go back. Once I finish mucking, I dump the cart and then head back over to my car and grab the alfalfa pellets that have been soaking. And then I head on over back to the Mustang pen, and I dump half of it in one bucket and then half in the second bucket. I usually give them alfalfa 3 times in a day. So each Mustang has its own bucket, and I try to make sure that they're fed separately, although often they end up sharing the same bucket and just take turns eating back and forth. And so that concludes the Mustang morning chores, and now it's time to head over to my other barn. I rent a barn just a short drive away from my house, and this is where I keep my personal horses. I absolutely love my drive to the barn, and in the fall it's especially beautiful as I get to see all sorts of colors. So I recently just changed rental barns, and I just moved over to this new barn about a month ago. I'm still getting used to everything and in the process of moving and settling in. I have 3 horses at this barn, and then a border horse here as well. The mares spend the night in the stalls while the boys stay outside and use the run-in. After plugging in my nearly dead phone, I feed the barn cat. And then I start making breakfast for the horses. I give the mares their grain before going out to get the boys. And then I put the grain in the gelding stalls just so that they have something to go into, and then I go out to grab them. Like I mentioned, I'm still pretty new to this barn, and I keep changing the routine on them, so they haven't figured out which stall is theirs yet and haven't quite settled into this routine. While they're munching on their breakfast, I head back into the grain room to go make dinner for my old mare. She gets beet pulp, which is soaked throughout the day. After adding water to the beet pulp, I leave the hose on so that the outdoor tank can fill. Once I finish with that, I head over to the hay. And I grab as much hay as I can carry, and then I take several trips back and forth putting hay out in their field to get it ready for them. And again, I scatter the hay into different piles. And on my way back in the barn, I turn off the hose. I feel like we're always trying to find ways to multitask when doing barn chores. And then I let the geldings back out. And then I go back to get the mares. The barn cat Manu loves to just follow me around everywhere. I guess she likes to keep an eye on me. And then I let the mares back out to the pasture. So I usually muck out the stalls at night. So once the mares are out, that pretty much concludes my morning routine. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.